Welcome to Season 9 of CX in the Wild, where we venture beyond the ordinary, exploring the untamed edges of experience creation. These are the stories of dreamers and doers, those who craft connections at the crossroads of humanity and innovation. Now, let's join Dennis on the latest journey.
Welcome back to CX in the Wild. Today is, I think, our second show virtually before we get back on the road this year. I'm excited to have Franck Ardourel here. He has an extraordinary, vast career, over 25 years of experience pioneering different strategies, crafting customer-focused solutions, and he's continuously redefining how we approach CX. Today, we're going to be exploring how AI reshapes the customer experience. Franck, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm happy to be here.
Franck, I always start out with, why don't you tell the audience in your own words who you are and what's keeping you busy these days?
It's interesting questions. So I'm a fractional CMO who see marketing through the lens of CX management. And this is the way that I approach marketing today. And why I'm excited is because the world is always on-demand economy, is always in motions. And today AI is capturing my intentions more than ever. So what I think is interesting in marketing is it never stops. So that's what kept me interested.
Yes. You know, I also approach CX through the lens of marketing.
Yes.
You're so right about the world changing. And I guess if I'm being thoughtful, when you're on the customer service side of CX, it's in the moment. It's in that touch point with the customer, and there's so much richness there that is yet to be unexplored. AI, of course, helps that. But on the other end of the spectrum, so that's one-to-one customers. On the side of one-to-many customers, when we think about traditional advertising, capturing the hearts and minds of audiences in the first 3 seconds or a 30-second spot, telling a whole universe of stories in 60 seconds. This idea of connecting with people at scale, to your point, I feel like over the last 10 years, 20 years, it has accelerated and it's become so much bigger in terms of the world. Meaning a spot, we used to do a television spot that might run in a particular country or in a particular state even during a particular time period. And now the confluence of so many channels and so many different types of media, everything is so big but moving in such a complex way that to just reach out with an idea just isn't as easy as it used to be.
I think, so I don't talk about connection, I talk about engagement, because I think this is the next step for the first thing. And when you say accelerating, I say, yes, it's accelerating and it's fascinating because I think we do marketing better. So my point is today, we went through the digital transformations starting in, let's say, 2000, roughly. And today we have an accelerations with AI, which add another layers. And on top of that, you see all this emerging technology coming up. And you have emerging technology in MarTech, AdTech. And if you think about it, because of the technology, today you can really apply CX that is going to resonate with the new audience, which is very tech-savvy, conscious consumer, which I mean, they ask for personalizations and they may even ask for hyper-personalizations. They ask for immediate access to the information. They ask for the moment. And like you say, they want to seize the moment. So today we move from customer service support to the start of the customer journey. And this is what is fascinating today is in some point, I think I told you that before, you should not have a customer support. It should not exist if you are doing the job right at the beginning or since the beginning. So what you can do today, you could not do maybe 15, 10 years ago, is you can track your consumer from the first touch to last because of the technology. And because the digital transformation make it easy, today with AI, you have this acceleration about better servicing your customers. So I'm going to take you through an example. I created an AI application that allowed me to understand what is the hot topic in CX today. And I ran the program every week. And why do I do that? It's because I want to accelerate my productivity. So it takes me today 1 hour to understand what people are looking for in the market. And on top of that, I get the most interesting article and I can write my blog and post it. based on the intent, which I couldn't do that, to be honest with you, 2 years ago. So I think you're right. And but I think I'm struggling today when people talk about CX, because everybody know about CX, what it is. But I'm much more focusing on CXM and how you do it. And the digital transformations with AI, with technology, is a superpower to boost and satisfy or deliver CS excellence, I would say.
Yes.
It's like you say, it's fascinating.
I think because we are talking about the change, I've been thinking about 2025.
Yeah.
And what you said will be something that I think about going forward for the near term, which is CX as we know it it's not what it once was. And it doesn't appeal to all people and all generations. Each generation is different. And to your point, this newest generation, they are actively changing the way everyone engages. And I'll give you an example.
Yep.
The LinkedIn business persona is dying. That when you and I were coming up through the ranks, there was a clear division between our work life and our personal life, being professional or being unprofessional at home. In advertising and marketing, we drank on the job, but in a lot of businesses, they didn't drink on the job. As an example, there was this division. And this younger generation has grown up with their parents having a camera on them. Their lives have been exposed so much that younger business people are just ignoring the boundary of personal life on LinkedIn. And so their profiles have personal pictures, they have personal stories. They are now bringing themselves to the work environment. And I feel like that's so different than even me. I know that it's okay to be myself on LinkedIn, but I feel like there is a professional distance that I have to keep on LinkedIn that I would never put my Facebook stuff on LinkedIn. But the audiences are changing. The needs of the world are becoming more clear, whether it's sustainability or it's the sustainability that we need for the power needs of AI. So much is different than it was even, to your point, 2 years ago. I'm with you on the AI. I use AI for everything. I'm getting to the point where I can't even think without AI. I just always want to ask AI if what I'm thinking is like accurate or biased or,
Yeah.
It's in the world.
Yes. And I'm shocked today when I'm hearing at the university or in the educational world that they don't allow students to use AI. And I think they are making a big mistake. They should educate the student or the professional how to use AI to perform better in their work. And I'm giving you this example because I created a CXM course, and I'm forcing the student for each module to use AI. And because today, not using AI for SEO strategy, not using AI for content strategy will be a huge mistake. And I think I use an interesting application because my son is investing a lot in finance. And I told him, I say, why don't you create a virtual team with Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and select the leader that you want and ask them the questions about crypto, and he did it, and he created his own program. But what I think is fascinating is he doesn't give you the answers, but he gives you the perspective about how these people, this leader, think about it, which will help you drive you to make a good decisions. And I experimented it for some other things. And I think it's very interesting today because, like you said before, it's an acceleration. So you are getting in a world where you can make decision quicker. And don't forget that we created this world in 1994. Amazon was launched. I think 2004 was Uber. And this company changed. So the Uberizations, the flywheel model. So we have today a kind of Uberization of the on-demand economy. And that makes things different. But today now we have to manage with AI. We have to manage different perspective, etc., etc. But this is what keep us excited. But once again, that's why also CX moved from what it is to how you really achieve it.
The AI, you made me think about a number of things there. So, one of the things that I'll share with you, I do when I'm traveling on the road. So I came back to Dallas last night. I'll be here for about 5 more days, and then I'll start my 2025 world tour going around the world. And when I'm on the road, in the morning, I do 2 things. The first thing I do is ask Siri what time it is because I don't know where my phone is. So I ask Siri and Siri tells me. Then I find my phone and I open up ChatGPT voice and I ask ChatGPT to pick one philosophical lesson. Could be Stoicism, could be any religion, any philosophical lesson. Oftentimes, I'll ask it just to pick one of the I Ching hexagrams at random and read it to me. And it does. And then GPT will ask me how I feel about it. I will reflect on the lesson. I will then ask ChatGPT, because it has all of my different conversations in it, how does this apply to what I've been thinking about or what I'm working on? GPT will tell me. We'll have a conversation about it. It'll be very enlightening and enriching. And then at the end, I say, okay, GPT, I appreciate the advocacy and the cheerleading, but now give me all the things, the counter arguments to everything we discussed today. What are the pitfalls? What are the risks? What would be the problem in my biased thinking if I believed everything we just discussed? And suddenly my whole world opens up. Because on 1 minute, I was very excited that GPT was telling me about this thing and it seemed like it fit into my life and it seemed like I was making the right decisions. But then it just switched and said, well, the risk is if you believe this, you might make these mistakes. And I really enjoy that, to your point, AI helps us think. If you want AI to think for you, then you're probably going to be in trouble.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think this is the point that people are, this is the pro and the cons of AI. It's like everything. You can use drone for the good, but you can also create bomb with drones. And Einstein didn't discover nuclear to do bomb. He discovered nuclear to create something good for people. And after we turn it in a different way. So I think you're right. It's a question about how we turn good things for the good or for the bad. Unfortunately, this is the world of human being.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
No.
I'm curious, where I hear your accent. Where are you from? Tell us your backstory. You've clearly been at this a while. Let's talk about your career highlights. I'm fascinated to know more about what led you to where you are today.
So I was born in France. I started my career in Paris, but so I went to school for La Sorbonne. I did something. Let's say an MBA in La Sorbonne. But I always had the dream to go abroad. And I knew that I wanted to do that. And so after a few years spent in France working for big corporations, what is interesting is I was offered a big job for a huge bank in France and I refused it. And they say, because at this time I got an opportunity to come and work for United Airlines in 1999 to the US. And that was where I wanted to land. And it was not easy. It was like an immigrant challenge where you start from the beginning to redo everything. I'm giving you this example because in US, they don't trust what you did before. So you have to prove what you say when you are on the soil. So I did it and no regret. But so I worked for United after I moved and worked for Intuit. And I start getting into the world of the startup. I launched Udacity with Sebastian Trump. And after that, I moved from one business to the other. Sometimes I stayed for 5 years, sometimes for 2 years. My best gig was at 24 Fitness when they asked me to turn 24 Fitness, the first fitness industry to be turned, I will say, digital. Based on this story, I got a chance to meet with Mark Zuckerberg personally, because if you're familiar with it, in 2008, we were launching Facebook Local. So Facebook reached us and said, we want to work with you guys because you have a business model to do it. I also work with Jeremy from Yelp because we were the first industry to be on Yelp doing video for club. So, and why I'm saying that is because when I engage with 24 Fitness, and I remember I told my CMO, I say, because at this time I was not CMO, and I say, hey, why don't we go to Facebook? And he say, why do you want to do that? Do you have any data? And I told him, I said, no, Facebook is new. You don't get data. But if you want to be a leader, you have to get there and experiment first, or you will be a challenger. And he stopped the project. And I got a chance to meet with the CEO one day on a coffee at 7:30 in the morning. And I talked to him and I explained a little bit the story. And believe me or not, I'm in a meeting with my CMO. The CEO come in and and my CMO was Tony Wells, which is well known right now. And he said, Tony, why we are not on Twitter and Facebook? I don't understand. We want to be the brand. And an hour after, my CMO asked me, Frank, can you make us on a Facebook page, et cetera, et cetera. So I did it. Why I say that is because I'm always pushing the limit of what is there. Because if you don't do that in marketing, you don't get there. So I moved and up to 2017, where I decided to go by myself and do some consulting. And I got some very interesting gig where I work on personalizations, I work on MarTech. But the last 2 years, I spent it in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and I launched an tech platform. And that was the beauty and almost the end, because I was able to build a business from scratch. So think about the white canvas, and you have a holding company in Abu Dhabi say, we want to be the first platform to be local. And I did it. And I was able to do exactly what I think, which come today to the point where I believe that CX or CXM is the new paradigm of marketing. And I put together everything I've learned in business to business, in direct to consumers, all the technique, because I've been handling, tactical things. So I don't do only strategy, because I think for me to be a good marketer or guru in marketing, you have to put your hand in it and you have to understand how it works and you have to do it and you have to manage it so you can talk with people. And for the past year now, my big opportunity or business opportunity is toward CXM. I created a course. I'm creating a workshop. And my goal is not to say what it is. It's just to say, I can help you how to do it. Dennis, there is something interesting on everything we say. And I think the core of the success of it is to be able to map the customer journey. We talk about the new generations. We talk about the accelerations. And you may know it. In business to business or direct to consumer, the average touch point is about 10. It could be 15, it could be 5, but roughly the average is 10 points. And if you can map this 10 touch point and you can associate a ratio about the conversions, you already can calculate the miss of the return on investment, the miss of profitability. So for instance, you take the first point and you have a CTR of 0.2. You can definitively say, here's one of your problems that you need to tackle. So in your work today, in your approach of CX, the mapping the customer journey is the core in the foundation or the cornerstone of the success of the project. And this is where today I focus on, and I remove everything else, SEO, SEM. You have a bunch of system experts there. I don't do that anymore. I just try to bring my forte into this domain. In the story, I think I talked to you about it, is I was reached from Dubai, a big corporation in Dubai, and they say, we need a training for CX. And I talked to them. I say, how many people do you have? Well, we have 8 people in customer service. They say, yes, great. And the problem and the challenge they are facing is an increase of ticket. So they are going to increase the manpower to solve the problem. But they want the manpower to understand how to better serve the customers. In my conversations, my point was simple, is say, why don't you try to tackle the root cause of the problem before the ticket comes? So you are going to reduce your cost for operating. You are going to make your customers even more satisfied. You are going to develop a word of mouth. And you are going to grow organically by reducing the cost of fixing problems. And so this is what is exciting today, is allowing leaders to understand the impact of what is a CXO. And you are into space and you are working for big operations. But if you go to LinkedIn or if you go to this and you look for, are you looking for a CXO? Nobody advertise for it, which means we are a little bit behind. And this is a good way for you to understand from one country or one region to the others, where they focus. I will say in US, it's true, we are a little bit in advance. And when you look for fractional CMO in JCC regions, you don't find it, but you find in US. And I think it's a kind of thing that alert you about where the world is driving and how you can help them. But the story of, when people come to CX, I say, well, if you have a customer support ticket, you don't do the job right. You should.
That's right. So where are you based now?
I'm based in East Bay, so I live on an island in front of San Francisco.
Oh, beautiful.
And yeah, it's pretty cool. And what I like in this region is the outdoor aspect, so I love it.
Yes. And what does your 2025 look like? You have a vast amount of experience. You have great visibility. You're clearly abreast of all of the current trends and practices. You seem to have a very strong global perspective, which I always appreciate the global perspective because so few people actually have it. And so I think when you have an awareness like this, it makes me curious, what are the top 2 things that you think are the only 2 most important things for us in 2025 from a CX perspective?
Wow. So I will say when you analyze CX perspective in 2025, I will say there is 3 things I will talk to you. The first one is you need to talk about total experience, which means you need to consider any investment in operations, in people, in customers, which go back to all the stakeholders in some point interacting with your brand, like an influencer is part of it. So when you analyze CX, you need to analyze all interactions that are happening with any stakeholder. And a stakeholder could be an employee, it could be an influencer, it could be a vendor, it could be the leader. So one thing is analyze CX through the lens of total experience. The other thing that I think it's very important is understand the consumer today, what he wants, in order for you to make sure you are going to build the CX strategy that fits your audience. When you are going to be in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, the perspective is really different from the US. It's very different from the EMEA market. And what I've learned based on that is in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, they are thinking that they are doing things right, but they don't. And it's because they don't see the other side of the coin that you should be able to explain them when you're going to set up there. I don't want to talk too much here about it, but I'm going to give you a simple example. In the UAE, they are very, very good at creating applications, giving you access. So you go and you get everything through an application. The big issues they got is when you start getting an issue, this is where you are lost in customer service and in customer experience. There is nobody behind the applications that is going to help you. And they are thinking that the technology is going to solve their issue. So my third point is, how do you support CX with technology? So what is the tech puzzle that is going to help you support the consumer, leverage AI, leverage predictive analytics or predictive CX? So these are the 3 things I think are going to be very impacting in 2025. And to be honest with you, 2 years ago, I worked for HP. They invested 500,000, maybe $1 million in technology, and they were getting nowhere with it. It's because they decided to invest in technology for the sake of the technology, thinking it's going to work, but they forgot to assemble the technology together based on the link about what do we do for our customer with this technology? And I think 2025, it's for me, is going to be this kind of accelerations. And Dennis, be aware about, I think AI is almost bypassed now by this new technology of, I forgot the name, I think it's quantum. The accelerations is there. So that is going to bypass the power of AI, because AI is going to use it in a different way. So think about technology, think about total experience, and think about the consumer in the middle. I call it the new modern customer that is central. And after that is based on the country where you are, on the regions, try to understand them because not everyone has the same issue. And to finish on that, the course I'm creating, people say, are you going to monetize your course? I say, first is going to be free for people in Africa, because I know that they need it, but they cannot afford it. So I'm going to do the monetization in a different way. And I think this is kind of adaptations. I could sell my course $2,000 for everyone, and I will giving access just to a small portion of the people. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to serve. So when you think about 25, for me, is to deliver this knowledge and to teach more based on the the direction I'm thinking we are going. And we could talk more, but yes, that's the perspective I think are there.
Well, it sounds like you're going to bring a lot more knowledge that can scale from you to the world in 2025. I agree with you that context and perspective is so important for any kind of engagement. The importance of helping the younger generations and frankly, them helping us learn what works for them and what doesn't it's always interesting to try to match those two things up. The availability of technology to build bridges between the generations is probably greater than ever. And even though the young people seem to still be outpacing us, I used to think I was a pretty savvy tech guy, but now I can't do any of the things that my children can do. So the world is changing. I'm excited. Whenever you get your course ready or what have you, please let me know. I'd love to share it with our audiences and continue to promote the good work that you're doing. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me, since we're both global CX guys, we're both trying to improve the knowledge and understanding of our audiences? Do you have any questions of me?
Yes, so I think you have been on the road, so you have been reaching and meeting with a lot of professionals. So that goes back to your questions. So what is your perspective for 2025?
I thought you might ask me that, and I have some notes here, and I'll just tell you what I think, because I often have these unconventional thoughts that are kind of counterculture. But I'll tell you a couple of things that I think are off the beaten path. I think that I have these ideas. I make up these words, but I do think that I'm thinking of a concept around ambient marketing. Right? So ambient marketing is about engaging and showing up in unexpected places in the real world. So easy example. Imagine if you put your logo on a trash can, a little plastic trash can, and then you just went out to a park, a public place, and you saw where people were congregating and there was no trash can. And you put a trash can down there. Now you've created an ambient experience that's temporary, but it's relevant for that group of people at that time. So understanding the emptiness and the opportunity in the ambiance of any place. So I think ambience as an idea is something I'm exploring. I would say also, and this goes along with that, limited time pop-ups of anything, anywhere. So trying to be more ephemeral and more local. I think here's a technological one that I'm thinking about: voice-activated hidden offers. So now that as everyone's going into voice, if you could maybe in some voice environment have it so if a specific word or phrase was said, an offer, a unique offer would say, "Hey, Frank, you just talked about Abu Dhabi and Australia in the same sentence. This is your special moment." And I think the other thing that I always try to think about, Frank, and I've been recently thinking about it in a new context because I have to give a speech where I have to explain the future of CX coming up. I've always said there's one customer experience to rule them all. One engagement that if a brand can understand this touch point, they would vastly outperform their competitors. And that is, in the past, I've called it luck. And then I later described it as this feeling of the universe conspiring with you. So if I'm a consumer, I expect gratification or I expect disgust. I either want what I want and I get it, or I don't get it and I'm unhappy. There's these two polar examples in customer experience. But this idea of surprise and delight, or the universe conspiring with you, like you call up and someone says, "Hey, Frank, you're caller 15 and you get this gift." That's lucky, right? But I think in 2025, luck, the universe conspiring with you, I think that's really going to turn into, for my talk track, the word joy. If you can bring joy to an experience, that's what I think is going to be sticky.
I think you're right on I will put the definition of the joys is the hyper-personalization, where you can deliver before they even arise their need what they want. And I think one company that has been very great with that is Amazon. And I think you are totally right with that. It's just it's like a carpe diem, make carpe diem happening. Seize the moment now, and you can do it. And I think that goes back to what I told you about the technology. Today, you can do it with the technology. It's called, there's a lot of pieces that can be assembled to have this information in real time. But there is something that you need also to consider, Dennis, in your perspective is,
yes,
think about Web 1.3, where now you have the decentralization of the data. So you talk about anonymizations of the data that you collect with your customers. So it's going to make the world even more complex, and you are going to have to manage with your magic to make your marketing even better. But I think that's a challenge I'm working on, because that's make even things a bit complicated. But that's the evolution. Web 1.3, it's exploding, and you can also talk about crypto. If Trump and Elon Musk are doing what they are thinking, the financial institutions are going to be in trouble, because we are going to remove the middleman, which is a bank. And I don't know where we are going with it, but we have to be prepared. And more and more company. And I think you are in the right place in Dubai, by the way, where they are a lot in this crypto aspect.
Yes.
And I think that is another part of the future.
You bring up this decentralization and this complexity, and I agree with you. I think it's going to be a real shock when people, for so many years, Silicon Valley, all the tech startups, the whole economy has been built, particularly in the US, around scale, getting big fast, but getting to small audiences fast with great engagement is really where the future economies will be. And I do think that, and I'm just saying this to me and you, we're just two guys on a podcast. Anybody who's trying to get more than 1,000 engaged relationships, customers at a time, is probably wasting their budget and their brain power, because you could build $1 billion corporation off 1,000 customers at a time, instead of trying to talk to 60 million impressions online and not getting the quality journey put into place for your most
Yes.
infatuated customers.
And I think CX can help you with this 1,000 customer maximize the CLV, the customer lifetime value.
That's right.
So what you're saying is totally correct. By the way, you can maximize the value and the profitability on the small. Why do you want to conquer the world if 20% are giving you the most profitability that you need? So yes, NCX today, it's really about that, is could you get me there? And I think I say, yes, I can get you there.
Yes. Franck, it's been so enjoyable. Thank you for accepting this invitation to meet and discuss just CX at the beginning of the year. Are you going to be in the West Coast there for a while? Or are you going to be traveling this year?
No, I think I'm going to, yes, my goal is to travel back. So I would like to go back to Dubai this year. I'm going to make a trip to Europe after April. Right now, I'm teaching at Santa Clara University for this quarter, so I'm a little bit busy. And I will be launching my course by the end of the month, etc., etc. So, but that's the goal. But yes, we can. I will be here at least for the next 3-4 months.
When you get your course ready, let's make sure we connect so I can help you get the word out. I'm going to go here. From here, I'll go to New York, then Dubai. Then I have a little stopover in Europe. Then I will go back down to Africa. But after that, I will go back up to Dubai. So we should, I'll be in Europe. I think I have 5 or 6 shows in Europe. So between Europe and the Middle East, let's make sure we connect in person this year and maybe do an in-person podcast.
Yes. I think it would be great. And where is your office based? So
I have a U.S. office in Dallas, Texas, which is where I am today.
Okay.
We have an office in Cape Town, and then we're opening an office in Dubai in February.
Okay. I work with some member in Cape Town. We work together, so it's fantastic. Yeah.
Well, if you want to come down to Cape Town, come on down. I'll be there for a month this year.
Yeah, my stepbrother used to live in Cape Town for 10 years before moving to Dubai.
Okay. Small world. Franck, we're going to get together. Thank you so much for your time today. And I just really appreciate having you on CX in the Wild. Have a great 2025.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful trip.
The journey doesn't end here. Keep exploring the wild world of experience creation with us. Each episode offers a new perspective, a fresh story, and another step into the unknown. Stay curious and keep listening. You never know what you might discover next.